Hello guys, Filmi XPLAIN here. Today I'm going to explain a thriller film called Red Sparrow. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Let's start. In this alternate timeline, the tension between the United States and Russia remains high, but an all-out war is not a feasible option for either side. Therefore, both nations have resorted to spying, although traditional espionage methods have become too predictable and easily detectable. In response, the Russians have trained a group of female spies who specialize in seduction and use their charms to obtain sensitive information from their targets. The story opens with Dominika Igorova, a talented ballet dancer from Russia. Dominika has dedicated her life to dance and caring for her sick mother. One day, she leaves her mother in the care of a nurse and heads to work, where she meets various guests, including her uncle Ivan, who holds a high-ranking position in Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, the SVR. During the event, a gangster named Dmitry Ustinov approaches Dominika, pretending to ask for a photo but then touches her inappropriately. Later on, Dominika performs beautifully on stage, impressing the audience with her skills. Unfortunately, her dance partner makes a mistake, causing Dominika to land badly and break her leg. She is quickly rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. We are introduced to Nate Nash, a CIA operative who is currently stationed in Moscow. One day, while preparing to meet one of his assets in Gorky Park, he is unexpectedly confronted by the police. Acting quickly, Nate creates a diversion by firing shots at the ground, allowing his Russian mole, codenamed Marble, to escape without being detected. However, Nate himself is taken into custody by the authorities and is later brought to the safety of the American embassy, where he meets with his superiors. They inform him that Marble is safe, but due to his mistake, Nate will be deported back to the US. The following day, Ivan meets with the director of the SVR, General Vladimir Korchnoi. They show him video footage of Nate's encounter in Gorky Park and explain that their primary interest lies in identifying the unknown individual present at the meeting. The story then shifts back to Dominika, who wakes up in a hospital bed to find her leg in a metal frame, shattered from the accident during her dance performance. She is devastated to learn that she will never dance again. And despite months of recovery, she still requires a cane to walk. One day, her uncle Ivan visits her and informs her that she has been replaced at the theater, and she will no longer receive any benefits. Ivan offers to help Dominika and tells her to reach out to him when she is ready. Before leaving, Ivan hands Dominika an envelope that contains intimate photos of her former dance partner and his girlfriend, as well as a recording of their conversation, which implies that the accident was no accident, and the partner intentionally caused it to give his girlfriend Dominika's place. Furious, Dominika goes straight to the theater and observes them practicing. She follows them to the steam room where they start making out, and in a fit of rage, she attacks them with her cane, exacting her revenge. On her way back, she stops at a phone booth and reports the incident as an accident. Dominika's once promising career in shambles. She turns to her uncle for help. Ivan agrees to assist her, but only if she returns the favor. The SVR is interested in gaining more information on Dmitry Ustinov, the gangster who had previously accosted Dominika, so he asks her to befriend him and earn his trust using her feminine charms. Though hesitant, Dominika has no other choice, as her mother's medical expenses are piling up. That night, Dominika dresses beautifully and goes to the hotel where Dmitry is staying, and heads to the bar to catch his eye. As she expected, Dmitry approaches her and offers to assist her. She expresses her desire to feel special again, and they proceed to a private room, leaving Dmitry's guards outside. After a while, Dmitry asks her to undress, but before they can continue, an intruder wearing a black helmet bursts into the room and murders Dmitry. The intruder then throws a coat at Dominika to cover her bloodied body and rescues her through the back door. The man turns out to be an SVR agent named Konstantin, who was sent by Ivan. Soon after, Ivan comes to Dominika and presents her with a choice: either become an SVR operative or face execution for witnessing Dmitry's murder. As expected, she chooses to work for them. Afterwards, we see Dominika undergoing intense training at State School 4, where sparrows are trained in the art of seduction for intelligence gathering. Matron, the headmistress of the program, greets her and provides her with a new identity. The next day, Dominika and her classmates begin their studies, and Matron stresses the importance of Russia's role in bringing order to the world, as well as the fact that their bodies now belong to the state, and that they must comply with any task given to them. Meanwhile, Nate appears before a CIA panel, who suspends him for his mistake in Moscow. Despite this, Nate argues that he has a strong relationship with Marble, his Russian asset, and that he is the only one that can be trusted. His plea is eventually considered, and he is given a chance to redeem himself by re-establishing contact with Marble in Budapest. Unbeknownst to Nate, the SVR is keeping a close eye on his every move. Matron instructs the sparrows in State School 4 to identify their target's desires by showing them images on TV. When an arrogant student named Victor gives an incorrect answer, Dominika corrects him, making him the laughingstock of the class. Another female student correctly guesses the second. Later, when a female student is called upon to satisfy a guy, the girl gets down on her knees, but is unable to do so. Dominika bravely takes the lead and takes him to a private room to please him. Matron and the other students observe the performance, and Matron compliments Dominika's technique but comments that she still needs to learn to give herself up. After class, Dominika is in the shower when Victor tries to assault her, but she fights back by hitting him with a water tap. This causes a commotion, and General Vladimir himself comes to the school to investigate. When asked why she did it, Dominika responds that she serves the state, not her fellow student. In the next class, Dominika is called to the front by Matron, while Vladimir watches through a CCTV camera. Matron presents a picture of Victor, asking her to identify his desires. To everyone's surprise, Victor is brought into the room, and Matron orders Dominika to fulfill his desires. Dominika undresses and sits on the table with her legs open, enticing him to take her. However, Victor, still shaken from the earlier incident, leaves without touching her. Dominika then astutely identifies that Victor wants power, impressing General Vladimir, who assigns her to a mission in Budapest. After agreeing to the mission, Dominika travels to Budapest and shares accommodation with fellow Sparrow, Marta, under the watchful eye of SVR Station Chief Maxim Volontov. She begins following Nate and even goes to the same swimming pool as him. There, she bumps into him and pretends to be a translator for the embassy, engaging him in a brief conversation. The following day, Dominika arrives at the swimming pool, only to find that Nate isn't there. To her dismay, she realizes that her ID is missing. Nate, having already suspected her of being a Russian spy trying to uncover Marble's identity, reports this to his superiors and proposes getting closer to Dominika to gather more intelligence. His superiors agree, granting him permission to do so. Later, while visiting the embassy, Dominika overhears Marta speaking to an American politician named Stephanie Boucher. Nate then approaches Dominika and admits to taking her ID from the pool. Realizing that he's aware of her mission, Dominika confesses her true intentions to him. The two of them have a brief conversation and agree to meet for dinner the next day. Afterward, Dominika returns to her apartment and searches Marta's room, where she discovers that Marta has been tasked with buying confidential information from Stephanie. After work, Dominika tails the station chief Maxim to a bar and asks him to provide her more time by sending a positive report to Moscow. She provokes him into hitting her and records the act on camera to blackmail him into sending a better report. Meanwhile, Nate is waiting for her at the restaurant, but when she doesn't show up for a long time, he leaves thinking that she ditched him. Unbeknownst to him, Dominika follows him to his place and he lets her in. Nate asks how she found his place, and they speak quietly to avoid being overheard. She asks him about what happened in Gorky Park, to which he responds, and she tries to kiss him, but he stops her and asks her to leave. The next day, Ivan pays Dominika an unexpected visit to check on her progress with Nate. Feeling pressured to buy more time, she makes up a lie and tells him that she's also working on Stephanie's case with Marta but will require additional funding. Ivan considers her request before leaving. While he's getting his coat, Dominika manages to sneak a look at his passport to gather intelligence on him. Later that evening, Dominika returns home to find Marta's lifeless body in the bathtub, shocking her. Before she can even comprehend what happened, Konstantin, the same SVR agent from earlier, appears from behind and grabs her by the neck. He then reveals that this is what happens to those who share secrets. Meanwhile, Nate informs his superiors about Marble's new message, which confirms that Dominika is a Sparrow. Nate believes that Dominika is still recruitable despite her being viewed as a threat. The next evening, Nate reveals to Dominika that he knows her true identity. Dominika, in turn, reveals her story, emphasizing that her only concern is her mother's safety. Nate then offers her a deal to become a double agent for him, promising protection in return. Dominika is hesitant at first but eventually agrees to the deal after thinking it over. The two become intimate. In the morning, Dominika meets with Nate's superiors, who subject her. Dominika must undergo a lie detector test to assess her reliability. Dominika passes the test and asks for money, stating that she can obtain information from Stephanie Boucher. She then travels to London with Maxim to meet Stephanie and execute the transaction. The CIA has provided Dominika with a specially prepared hotel room equipped with security cameras and fake discs to swap for the real ones. When Stephanie arrives at the hotel, Dominika convinces her that she was sent by Marta, and after receiving the payment, she swaps the real discs with the fake ones while pretending to authenticate them. Following the deal, Stephanie realizes that she's under surveillance by American intelligence agents. In a state of panic, she discards the money in the trash and attempts to cross the street. Unfortunately, she is struck by a truck and dies instantly. The Russian agents observing the event conclude that their mission has been compromised. They also suspect that Dominika and Maxim were the ones who tipped off the Americans. As a result, they order the pair to return to Moscow. After arriving in Moscow, Ivan seizes the discs and arrests Dominika and Nate. Despite their protestations of innocence, they are subjected to agonizing torture for several days. Maxim is executed during this time. However, Dominika continues to deny any involvement with the Americans. Eventually, Ivan begins to believe her and allows her to return to Budapest to continue her original mission of uncovering Marble's identity. Upon reuniting with Nate, Dominika enjoys a romantic evening with him at his residence. However, Dominika wakes up in the middle of the night to find Konstantin torturing Nate to extract Marble's identity. Initially, Dominika pretends to side with Konstantin and even joins in inflicting harm on Nate. But when Konstantin is distracted, Dominika attacks him, allowing Nate to break free from his restraints. The two then team up and fight against Konstantin, eventually taking him down. However, both Dominika and Nate sustain serious injuries during the struggle. In the next scene, Dominika wakes up in the hospital with serious injuries. To her surprise, she receives a visit from General Vladimir, who reveals himself as Marble the Mole. Marble, a once patriotic official, confesses to becoming disillusioned with Russia's rampant corruption when his sick wife was denied treatment from an American doctor, fearing that he will soon be caught and his sacrifice will be in vain. Marble instructs Dominika to expose him to Ivan, which would make her a national hero and allow her to replace him as a mole. Dominika initially finds the idea absurd, but after much convincing, she decides to turn herself into the authorities. She requests to speak with the Russian ambassador and explains that she has information about the mole. However, she will only reveal the mole's name in exchange for her freedom. After the conversation, an exchange meeting is scheduled at an airport, and Nate is assigned to accompany Dominika to confirm the mole's identity. He is deeply upset, feeling used and betrayed by Dominika's actions. However, Dominika has a surprise for him. When the Russians approach with the mole, they uncover his face to reveal Ivan. It is then revealed that Dominika had been fabricating evidence to frame her uncle ever since she arrived in Budapest and even blamed him for the botched exchange in London. Shocked, Nate quickly confirms Ivan as the mole, and just after the exchange, Ivan is shot by a Russian sniper. Dominika is taken away on a helicopter. In the final scene, Dominika is seen being honored at a Russian military ceremony, attended by General Vladimir. She is now living a good and free life with her mother, something she had always dreamed of. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.